In this video, I'm going to be showing you 3 different methods for making an improvised litter. This task can be found in the Skill Level 1 manual, STP 21-1-SMCT, Soldier's Manual of Common Tasks, Skill Level 1. The task that you can find the information is transport a casualty using a 2-man carry or an improvised litter. Task number 081-831-1041. Now with this first litter, you're going to require 2 poles and 1 poncho. I'm simulating the poles using a piece of light lumber here. This would not be thick enough to be able to handle a casualty. It would break. Now, in the task, it says to use either tent poles or saplings. If you're going to use saplings, you're going to have to make sure that it would be thick enough to support the weight of the casualty. So a little 1/2-inch sapling probably is not going to be good enough. You're probably going to want something that's around 1 inch thick in diameter. You lay your poncho out on the ground. Take your 2 poles, lay them across the poncho, dividing it into thirds. You take 1/3, fold it over, going to at least the pole, maybe a little bit over the pole. You'll want to make sure that the hood is pulled to the inside so that it does not catch on brush or other vegetation, causing the stretcher bearers to dump the casualty. After you get it folded over, take the other third, toss it across. You want it to go to at least the other pole. You then lay your casualty across the stretcher, 1 person at the head, 1 person at the feet. You then pick up the stretcher and move your casualty to the casualty collection point for more advanced first aid or for medical evacuation. Now, you don't have to worry about the casualty falling through the poncho. The weight of the casualty on the 3 layers of poncho will hold it together, so they're not going to separate. It's going to be held together nice and tight. Now, the most important part to the casualty to keep on the stretcher is the head and the torso. So if the feet hang off a little bit on the sides or down the pole a bit next to the stretcher bearer's hands, that's okay. If you have a wider casualty, you might want to do it the way it's set up right now, where we have the narrower side is on each pole. If you have a taller casualty, you might want to take the poncho, flip it so that you have the taller side is for each pole. But when you do that, it does get pretty narrow, so keep that in mind. The next improvised stretcher I'm going to explain to you is using a blanket or poncho liner or piece of tarp without poles as the stretcher. With doing that, you're going to take the sides and you're going to roll them up as tight as you can, going about 1/3 of the way in. You'll do it on both sides, and just like with the previous improvised litter, lay the casualty in the center. You will have 4 to 6 people as the stretcher bearers in this one, 1 at each corner, so 4. And if it's a heavier casualty, they need the extra support, you'll have 2 in the center, 1 on each side also. When you lift the stretcher, you grab a hold of the rolled section, hold it tight, and lift it up. This next example uses 2 poles and 2 to 3 uniform tops. If you can only spare 2, You need to have one of the tops down around the waist, knee area to give support there. And the other needs to be for the head and upper torso. If you can spare the 3, you'll use 3 and you'll lay the casualty across all 3. How you put this one together, you take your tops, you button them or zip them to add some strength so they'll hold together. You then pull the shirt inside out, leaving the sleeves on the inside. The sleeves are going to become the channel that the poles go through. Now when you put the shirts on the pole, you're supposed to have wide end to wide end. And then you'll have the neck area on each end. This method requires only 2 stretcher bears. All these are improvised. If you do have access to an actual litter, that is vastly preferred. Now, for all my engineer brothers in the Patriot and Militia movement, always remember, essayons.